And welcome to News Street Now at 5. I'm Eric Franke. Susan is off tonight. Some rain overnight. A little breezy out there today. Might have a weather system moving in later in the week. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington joins us now with a look at your full forecasts.
Yeah, Eric, southern Wisconsin, we have a big weather maker heading to southern Wisconsin. We actually have two of them. One that's going to come later this week, and then another one that's going to be on our doorstep by the time we get to Easter Sunday. So first weather system, good chances for rain Thursday going on into Friday, and that's going to be my primary focus. There is the potential that we could see a strong storm or two as this weather system moves into the area from the south and from the west. There's a marginal risk of severe weather for areas south and west of Madison for Thursday night. Then as we go into Friday, we're keeping an eye on a cold front that may, preceding that cold front, may have some strong storms that may develop out ahead of that. So we're keeping a very close eye on this, not thinking alert day conditions at this point because the frontal timing may work to reduce that overall threat. But right now, good stuff, 54 out there, 55 in Middleton, 57 in Cross Plains. Coming up in Maine weather, I'll use Future Track to show you what those thunderstorms may look like Thursday going into Friday.
Alex, thank you. Now to a story we brought you from the scene yesterday. A 19-year-old man is in stable condition after being shot in the face yesterday afternoon. Stoughton police say they were called to Main Street about 1:30 for a report that someone had been shot. Officers say the man was shot while in the passenger seat of a car. The driver then fled the scene. Police say the shooting did not appear to be random, that there's no threat to the public. A Madison man is in custody after a nearly 25-mile chase started in the town of Albion and ended near Cottage Grove. It happened about 8:30 this morning at the exclusive hunting club. Dane County deputies responded to reports of a man acting erratically and trying to hit two people working at the club. Now, the chase ended on the interstate after the 34-year-old driver ran over some spike strips. He was taken into custody and hospitalized. He faces multiple charges, including recklessly endangering safety. In Janesville, police are warning the public about an uptick in scam calls of people pretending to be police officers. The scammers are manipulating their caller ID to appear like the calls are coming from police. Victims are told they have a warrant and are pressured to pay using cryptocurrency, gift cards, or even cash drop-offs. Officials stress this is a scam. They would never request payment this way or threaten arrest over the phone. If you get one of those calls, you're asked to simply hang up and then call the Rock County Communications Center. From Adams County, a Grand Marsh man has been found guilty of homicide, mutilating a corpse, and 13 other felony charges. 48-year-old Donald Dahlberg of Grand Marsh was found responsible for the death of 57-year-old Floyd Burdick. Burdick was found dead with severe burns in January of last year near the Oak Ridge Trail parking area. Dahlberg's sentencing is set for May 23rd. The Madison Fire Department says it put out a fire after 4,000 pounds of recyclables were dumped onto the street. It happened on Madison's west side, just north of Country Grove Park. A recycling truck driver noticed smoke coming from the back and dumped the burning pile. Firefighters put out the fully engulfed pile but could not find the cause of that fire. The Madison Streets Division does want to remind people to never put batteries or electronics in your recycling bins and to dispose of them properly. We take a live look right now. This is Highway 30 at East Washington. And on the top right of your screen there, you can see the westbound exit ramp onto Fair Oaks Avenue. And starting on Monday, crews will close that ramp for utility work in the intersection with plans to reopen it in 2 weeks. Fair Oaks Avenue will stay open during the project. Well, if you haven't finished your taxes for the 2024 year, the clock is ticking. It is April 15th, of course, tax day, and the deadline to get federal income tax returns sent to the International Revenue Service is today. And while a majority of U.S. taxpayers have already taken care of the matter, roughly 101 million have yet to do so. Now, there are some exceptions this year, some unique ones. Businesses and residents in 7 disaster-stricken states have been given extensions. Taxpayers are advised to file electronically if possible. You can file an extension for free at irs.gov with no penalties. A special election has been set for a Dane County board seat that was left empty due to rent increases. Elizabeth Doyle has represented District 1 for 6 years. However, she says her rent went up nearly $2,500, pricing her out of her own neighborhood. The election is set for June 17th, and if there are more than 3 candidates, a primary is set for May 20th. District 1 covers parts of downtown Madison. You can find nomination papers at danecounty.gov. A live look at the NFL draft setup in Green Bay, where a local nonprofit is stepping up to fight food waste and hunger. Rooted in Inc. will recover perishable food from draft events from next Tuesday to Sunday and redistribute it to local agencies and community refrigerators. The effort aims to feed those facing nutrition insecurity and reduce landfill waste. Rooted In is also calling for volunteers to help with the recovery. If you'd like to volunteer, visit rootedwi.org. If you can't make it to Lambeau Field for the NFL Draft, there's still a way to join the excitement right here in Madison. Beer Rock on North Sherman will host NFL Draft watch parties starting on Thursday. Doors will open at 3. TV coverage kicks off at 6, and the bar will stay open through round 1, closing at midnight. Watch parties will have a full food and drink menu available, and you can also catch the draft from home on Channel 3000 and streaming at Channel 3000 Plus. The Milwaukee Brewers back in action tonight for their second game against the Tigers. You can watch the game on our sister station, Television Wisconsin. The Crew looking to get back into the win column after losing 3 in a row. The Tigers took game 1 last night at AmFam Field 9-1. Television Wisconsin is Channel 3.2. Coverage starts at 6:30. Well, the winds are calming down, but we could see weather by the end of the week. Alex rejoins us. A complete look at the forecast. But first, American Airlines set to offer free Wi-Fi for passengers. How soon that new promotion will take effect. On Wall Street today, the markets closed down. The Dow falling some 156 points. The Nasdaq loses about 8. The S&P 500 closes down 9. And we'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
The Madison Common Council is seeing a changing of the guard after the spring election. Today, new alders were sworn in, and outgoing alders said their farewells after an eventful year that included the censuring and arrest of an alder accused of harassment and abuse back in December. Armand Rahman was at today's meeting and has more from downtown.
7 seats turned over today, including District 18, bringing the contentious previous term of Charles Miadze to an end.
It's an exciting day, and I'm excited to get started.
And the term of Carmela Glenn to a start.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
She says she's looking ahead to the future of District 18, and so are the residents who live there.
What happens inside of systems, they're not real interested. There were a lot of great things that got done by the former alder as far as projects, and so hopefully to step into those and make sure they come to fruition.
She says she's heard from constituents that representation was a concern when former alder Charles Miadze was removed from his committees and censured.
If you want to be part of the decision making, you got to get to the table where the decisions are made. And so I hope to be able to represent all of my district, but I really want black and brown people to know that our voice matters, and we got to show up.
Miadze did not show up in person or virtually to what would have been his final council meeting. While his fellow outgoing alders had their full resolutions and contributions read, his was met with a swift vote.
Since Alder Miadze is not here, is there any objection to recording an affirmative vote?
Earlier in the day, outgoing District 12 alder Amani Latimer Burris released a blog post claiming to be one of the people who reported allegations against Miadze last March and April. She also said she abstained and recused herself because she claimed others on council knew Miadze will be arrested 2 days later, claims News 3 Now has not independently verified. Latimer Burris did not address the allegations as part of her farewell speech.
You got to be independent. You got to ignore the noise. You got to think for yourself. You got to ask a lot of questions, even if it annoys people.
Glenn says she wants to focus on food access and parks for District 18.
I'd love to see things like Troy Drive be replicated. Also, we have some really cool parks. Everyone thinks of the north side, they think of Warner.
Reporting in downtown Madison, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Armand, thank you. More travelers will soon be able to surf the web while soaring among the clouds. American Airlines announced free Wi-Fi access will be offered on the majority of its flights starting in January of next year. But that perk will only be available to members of the airline's loyalty program. Officials say AT&T will back the new service by installing needed equipment on those planes. American, one of the last remaining U.S. carriers to charge people for internet access. Delta Airlines started offering free Wi-Fi back in 2023. Hertz is telling customers it experienced a data breach of customer personal information after a hack in its supply chain late last year. The car rental company says the stolen information may include names, credit card and driver's license numbers, and also possibly social security and passport numbers. Hertz says the breach was against one of its vendors, software firm Clio Communications. Hertz says it found no evidence that its own network was impacted. A man is facing multiple felony charges after allegedly setting fire to the Pennsylvania governor's residence while Governor Josh Shapiro and his family were inside. Authorities say 38-year-old Cody Ballmer of Harrisburg jumped a fence, broke windows, and threw Molotov cocktails into the home. This was early Saturday morning. No injuries were reported, but the damage is expected to cost millions. Ballmer later turned himself in and told police he, quote, hated the governor and intended to harm him. He is charged with attempted homicide, terrorism, arson, and more. His mother says he is mentally ill and had gone off his medication. The National Transportation Safety Bureau says recovery is complete now in last week's fatal helicopter crash over the Hudson River. Divers retrieved key components of the Bell 206 helicopter, including the main and tail rotor systems, along with the transmission. All 6 on board were killed, including a Spanish family of 5 and the pilot. The parts will be examined to determine what caused that aircraft to break apart midair. FAA officials have grounded the tour operator pending the outcome. Nearly 25 million Californians felt an earthquake beneath their feet yesterday. The quake, with a preliminary magnitude of 5.2, centered outside San Diego and felt all across Southern California and down into Mexico. Reed Binion reports.
Boom, 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 boom. Loud, like thunder loud.
People in Southern California got a rude awakening Monday morning.
The whole sky was rumbling.
There was just a huge earthquake in San Diego. Must have been like a 5-point something.
He's not far off. Preliminary estimates put the quake's magnitude at 5.2.
Oh my God, that was huge, Buster.
Experts at Caltech said the quake was recorded at just after 10 a.m. near Julian, California. It was relatively deep, roughly 8 miles below the surface.
I was actually supposed to be in class. I was asleep in my car, but it woke me up and I got the alert on my phone. I just thought it was like a big truck or something.
According to the United States Geological Survey, more than 25 million people experienced weak to light shaking.
I was standing in my office and I got the notification a couple of seconds before I felt it. It was a pretty good shake.
Tremors were felt across a large part of the state, from Los Angeles to San Diego. Video from the San Diego Zoo Safari Park shows the African elephants reacting to the quake with behavior known as an alert circle, instinctively circling an elephant calf to protect it. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Well, time now for our first warn forecast. Alex, keeping an eye on things for later in the week, but some pretty decent weather until then, Alex.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff before the not such good stuff. Nice Wednesday. It's part of the 3 things you need to know, but keeping an eye on Thursday and Friday for the potential for alert day conditions. And heads up, first to let you know, Easter Sunday is looking on the wet side. We'll give you a glimpse of that in just a moment here. But as we proceed here, let's look at these thunderstorm chances starting on Thursday, 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, as a warm front moves in from the south and from the west. As we head towards 6 o'clock, a cluster of thunderstorms moving through the area. Not expecting severe weather at this point in time with these thunderstorms, maybe some small hail at this point in time. It's as we get a little bit later into Thursday night, as a warm front tries to move north into the area, bringing a little bit more moisture, a little bit more humidity, a little bit more warmth. Some of those thunderstorms as we go into Thursday night, an isolated storm or two could produce some large hail. Notice that they're scattered. Not everybody gets them, but everybody stands a chance of getting them. As we go into Friday morning, that front meanders across parts of the area, really stretching, and I showed this to you yesterday, from let's just say Lone Rock, Boscobel, up towards the Dells, over towards Juneau at 6 o'clock in the morning. A couple thunderstorms just to the north of that warm front. Watch what happens as we go into the afternoon hours. That front sinks to the south. By the time we get to 1 o'clock, that front is eyeing up, let's say, Monroe to Janesville over towards Elkhorn. This is not an ideal setup, which is a good thing for severe weather in southern Wisconsin, because that front will be pushing through. And if any additional thunderstorms pop up, they likely will pop up down in Illinois. So we don't need that. This is also what we're watching, is that warm air sector. As we get into Friday, temperatures could approach 70 degrees, maybe as close as Madison, but it's where that warm air sets up. However far north that gets, that's the area that stands the best chance of seeing a strong storm as we go into Friday. And the First Warn Weather Team will be keeping an eye on these conditions as to whether or not we're going to call a period of time for alert day conditions Thursday and or Friday. We can guarantee there's going to be rain across southern Wisconsin, widespread 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Can't rule out an isolated inch or more for some of those areas that get some persistent thunderstorm activity. So recapping the potential for alert day conditions, this is Thursday going into Friday. Some storms could be strong, but the front timing, the warm front coming through at night, Thursday night, and the cold front coming through early on Friday may limit and reduce the severe weather threats, which would be a good thing. Then we got the next rain that we're eyeing up for Easter Sunday. That also could be appreciable, and not expecting severe weather with that weather event on Sunday. But just look at this as we go into Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday services, likely the rain starts, and then it's just completely a washout as we go Sunday into Monday. At 6, I'll show you just how much water we could accumulate with that. Upper 20s, right around 30 tonight for our low temperatures. Here's that nice stuff that Eric was mentioning for Wednesday. Sunny skies and light winds on Wednesday. Emphasize the light winds. And then our temperatures right now in the 50s, and a little bit later at the end of our newscast, I'll show you that 10-day forecast.
All right, sounds good, Alex. Thank you. At the state capitol, a new bill could make gun safes exempt from Wisconsin's sales tax. Political reporter Will Keneally has more.
Unintentional injury is a top cause of death among children and adolescents, with firearms being a leading injury method.
This latest bill to make gun safes exempt from sales tax in Wisconsin was introduced this year, coming in the wake of the Abundant Life school shooting in Madison.
The more guns that are stored safely and securely, the better off our children will be.
Brett Fankhauser, manager at Deerfield Pistol Center, agrees.
Keeping it in your dresser drawer is not the best option anymore. You want to keep it inaccessible from your kids, from neighbors' kids, from anybody that's going to be in there.
Here at the Deerfield Pistol Center in Eastern Dane County, they offer a couple of different options for those gun safes. But Fankhauser wonders how much those tax exemptions will make a difference.
It's knocking off taxes isn't knocking off much on a safe to make it say, oh, let's run out and buy one.
On a $2,300 safe, that would mean a savings of $126. Fankhauser's shop sells safes as low as $35.
If a gun is locked in a safe, a kid's not going to get a hold of it and shoot themselves with it, right? Yeah. So that's 100% better than if a kid picks it up off the floor and plays with it.
This bill has bipartisan support and is similar to a bill introduced by Democrats last year. Reporting in Deerfield, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
Will, thank you. Still ahead. Over federal grants, we'll have the latest just ahead at 5.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
A new hearing is underway for the man deported to El Salvador. Despite a Supreme Court ruling, both the White House and the president of El Salvador say he will not be returned. Meanwhile, President Trump escalated his fight with Harvard, freezing billions in federal grants. Erica Brown has more from Washington.
A day after the White House announced it's freezing $2.2 billion in grants to Harvard University and $60 million in contracts, President Trump went further, writing on social media that perhaps Harvard should lose its tax-exempt status and be taxed as a political entity.
All the president is asking, don't break federal law, and then you can have your federal funding.
It comes after Harvard rejected a list of Trump administration demands, including ending DEI policies and enacting new student discipline measures, saying they were insufficient for those participating in pro-Palestinian campus protests.
Harvard should apologize for the egregious anti-Semitism that took place on their college campus against Jewish American students.
Harvard warned without federal funding, cutting-edge medical, scientific, and technological research will come to a halt midstream.
It's not just that things have been stopped cold, which a lot of it has, like one day they're doing research and then the next day they can't. It's also the fact that they can't plan.
Also today, there is a new hearing concerning the Maryland man the White House acknowledges was deported to El Salvador after an administrative error. Attorneys for Kilmar Abrego Garcia wrote in a court filing that the Trump administration has to at least request their client's return from El Salvador to comply with last week's Supreme Court order. The White House maintains he's a gang member, even though he was never charged or convicted of a crime.
Enough is enough. My family can't be robbed from another day without seeing Kilmar.
At the White House Monday, the president of El Salvador made it clear he has no intention of returning Abrego Garcia. The case could return to the High Court. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Well, still ahead, peep into an Easter basket. You'll likely see plenty of peeps, whether you love them or hate them. Those brightly colored marshmallow candies are a staple of the holidays. Peeps begin their Easter pilgrimage at a family-owned candy factory in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And Just Born Quality Confections cranks out an average of 5.5 million Peeps a day. That adds up to a whopping 2 billion Peeps a year.
We think that Peeps have become such a cultural icon because they have been passed down through generations. Families that have put them in Easter baskets or received them in their Easter baskets are then passing them down to their children and family and friends.
Now, Peeps tend to draw a mixture of reactions. Some say Easter baskets are not truly complete without the iconic chicks and bunnies. Others prefer to stick with chocolate eggs. Stay with us. We'll have a final check of your first warn forecast after a short break.
It's a battle between two American institutions, the White House and Harvard University. What's behind the high-stakes fight?
And in our Eye on America, we report from Philadelphia on how a community is working together to protect its health by protecting the water that runs through the city. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 6, the Memorial Union Terrace chairs are coming out, which means warmer weather is right around the corner. We get an inside look ahead of tomorrow's festivities there. Meanwhile, a flock of flamingos at the Vilas Zoo getting a temporary home while their outdoor pool and indoor spaces undergo repairs. For the next week and a half, the flamingos are being carefully relocated to the Animal Health Center. Zookeepers had to ensure the birds' long necks and strong beaks were safely managed during the move. That is how you carefully do it right there. And though flamingos are not aggressive, the careful handling protects both the animals and also the staff. The maintenance team is working to enhance the flamingos' habitats for a better living space. You gotta value and take good care of flamingos in Madison. They are a very special bird to all the folks in Madison. Alex is back. Final check of the forecast.
Yep, we're keeping an eye on after a beautiful Wednesday. Let's look at that 10-day forecast. 58, best part of Wednesday, sunny skies, light winds. Then the attention turns to rain and thunderstorms. It could have a strong storm or two Thursday going into Friday. And as I mentioned earlier, right now it looks like the best chances for those strong storms are going to be south and west of the area, which is good news. We'll take the water from that. But speaking of water, Easter Sunday, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Hopefully we have indoor activities planned. Not going to be a great day for being outside. It looks like it will be breezy with good chances of rain, but the plus side of that is we need those raindrops, and we'll track how many raindrops we'll get at 6.
All right, Alex, thanks. Again, we're back in a half hour for News 3 Now at 6. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News.